Hi guys, so this will be our final essay prompt video. Please do watch this video to the very end. There's a lot of important information in here about the prompt and also the outline assignment, okay? So let's get started. I'm in the Wednesday 8-2 folder. If we look in the essay 4 materials, you will then find the prompt. There's a library research video. It teaches you how to use your college library site to find some sources, which will be very, very helpful for this assignment. And then you'll notice 2 outline templates and then the works cited. And then, of course, the essay checklist page. We'll get into why there's 2 outlines in just a second. So we can start with the prompt. I've already clicked on it, so I have it open right here. Okay. So we are doing a multiple perspectives paper. So your research outline will be due Wednesday, August 9th. And then the final draft will be due Sunday the 13th, the last day of our class. Remember, you cannot submit this paper late because it is the last day of our class, okay? So for this final paper, you have 2 options. You will choose one of the following project options. Option 1, okay? So everything about option 1 is all the way up until this line here. And then after this line, you get into option 2. So just so you know how I've organized the prompt here. So option 1, a traditional research paper. If you choose this option, you will write a formal traditional 6 to 8 page argumentative research paper about education. You must use at least 2 of our unit's readings and at least 3 sources found on the Mesa College Library website. And then I see the library research demo video on Blackboard for a minimum of 5 total sources. So you can have 10 sources if you want to. However, the minimum for our unit's readings is 2, and the minimum for the library site is 3 sources, okay? So you have to meet those 2 minimum requirements, but you can have multiple different sources if you want to. And then your paper must also include at least 1 counter-argument, which is an argument that opposes your thesis with a rebuttal. You will choose one of the following research questions. What is the purpose of a college education? Should everyone have equal access to education? What do students gain or lose from getting a college education? Does it matter what a student gets their degree in? What degrees are most useful to the country's success? What is the value of a humanities degree? If the prioritization of STEM fields is the prioritization of STEM fields in the U.S. legitimate? Or you can create your own, but if you do, you need to email me for approval by Sunday, August 7th. Okay? I'm sorry, that's not the correct date. Let's see here. So apologies, this should say Sunday, August 6th, okay? So if you're creating your own question, just be sure you email it to me by August 6th, okay, because your outline is due that Wednesday. But you're more than welcome to create your own question. These questions are straight from our reading, so multiple authors deal with each of these questions, so you will easily be able to come up with the 2 minimum unit readings. And then these are also questions that you can definitely find some research on for this paper. And I've gone ahead and listed the readings at the bottom. So there's a line here on page 3 of this prompt. Everything under that line pertains to both options, okay? So here are the in-class texts. Notice I've also included Malala, okay? We will watch her interview, so she is also an option. So choose 2 of these. Notice how many options there are. You just need to choose at least 2, so that you're grounding your argument in our unit's concepts and themes, okay? And then we'll get into this at the end. So that is basically the prompt for choice 1. It's a traditional, like I said, argumentative research paper. You are going to answer one of these questions in a sustained argumentative paper that has a clear thesis statement. And if you choose option 1, you'll notice again that I have 2 options for the outline. You will choose option 1 for the outline as well. Okay, and this is what it looks like. We've worked with this for the other argumentation papers, but now here, notice we also have a counter argument. So it's the same structure of argument that we've been doing this semester for essays 2 and 3, except now you also need to include a counter argument. So you will have your thesis in the intro, and then every topic sentence will be a reason to support your thesis, and then you'll incorporate evidence and analysis of that evidence. And then the counter-argument is an argument that goes against your thesis. And so it says here, one or multiple arguments that the opposing side would argue against your thesis. So if you're arguing that humanities have a lot of value in your thesis, then in your counter argument you probably want to argue why some people think that humanities don't have any value. Okay, and then your rebuttal is your chance to explain why the counter argument is wrong or logically unsound, etc. And so that is essentially the outline for option 1. And then I want to just bring your attention back to Unit 2. If you go into the Unit 2 folder, the 712 folder, you will find the argumentation lecture. So when you click on it, it will open in YouTube. This will be really important for you to watch because I'll try to find it here. I go into pretty good detail on counter arguments. Okay, so this is part of it here, this slide. But I go into pretty good detail on what a counter argument is and what a rebuttal is. Okay, so if I would go back and refresh your memory on that lecture as well. Okay, so that is option 1 for your prompt. The other option, which is really exciting, at least I think it's very exciting, it is a dialogue essay. And students who attempt this essay will automatically get 20 extra credit points on the final paper. Okay, it is a bit more challenging, but it is also a more creative way to complete the assignment. Okay, so again, anybody who attempts option 2 will get 20 extra credit points. So if you choose option 2, you will use a variety of sources to show a spectrum of perspectives on our education topic. It will take the form of a 6 to 8 page debate, which will look somewhat like a screenplay. The challenge will be to offer coherent arguments by characters who represent not just different points of view, but also different styles of argumentation arising from the varied backgrounds, educational background, cultural and ethnic differences, and personal experience. So you are essentially creating a screenplay where the characters are talking to each other. Okay? So the intro will consist of a description of your characters, their positions on the given issue, and background information needed to help your intelligent, naive reader to understand your topic. Most of the explanation can be included in the context of the discussion. Assume your audience is educated but isn't necessarily knowledgeable about the subject. Also assume that they are very sensitive to bias. They shouldn't see yours, even if you personally have strong feelings about it. You can choose the setting, but it usually is helpful to think in terms of a venue that encourages high-level discourse. Feel free to be as creative as you would like, as long as you think PBS-level discussion, not Jerry Springer. Okay? The more you can envision the personalities of your characters, the better your choice of rhetorical strategies can be. The context of this debate should encourage the most intelligent arguments possible. Your characters will be fictional, but can be based on actual people. While they should be representational of certain groups and belief systems, they must not be stereotypes. They should be people whom you would be willing to listen to, even if you vehemently disagreed with their particular point of view. If the person has an unpopular viewpoint, you might want to contrast it with an especially appealing personality or intriguing life situation. Each should bring something unique to the discussion. You will write as though they are speaking to each other, and your sources will be part of that speech. And of course, each quote or paraphrase must be documented in the MLA style to avoid plagiarism. It can be difficult to distance yourself from your own words. Some people feel very awkward making a strong argument for something they do not believe. But this is an excellent way to train yourself to think critically and be able to articulate others' points of view honestly and fairly. The debate itself will be in script form, with speakers asking and answering questions. Characters will address one another's points and then go on to bring up new arguments. Make sure that the debate is not just a series of monologues, but is a real conversation. Normally there will be 3 to 5 speakers per page. More than that means you might be lacking in your use of sources, and fewer would sound more like speeches than debate. Speakers will quote or paraphrase their sources as though they are stating their own ideas. Your minimum of 5, with at least 2 from our unit and at least 3 from the Mesa Library website, need to include journals, transcripts of radio, television shows, oral interviews, discussions, news source, etc. The personality of the individual character will dictate what kind of source he or she might use. Again, each side should be so persuasive that the reader won't know your bias. However, in the conclusion, you can enlighten your audience as to your true beliefs. Talk about why you believe what you do and how your views might have changed as you did your research and formulated your arguments. Students may create a context which inspires them and which encourages strong argumentation. There is often a tendency to demonize those with whom the writer personally disagrees, even though most students claim to be tolerant of others' beliefs. This assignment will help students practice how to be able to articulate other sides, a step toward respecting those who hold the opinions. And of course, this speaks directly to our course theme, the danger of a single story. Okay. So the potential topics for the dialogue essay are exactly the same as option 1. Purpose of college education, equal access to education, what do students gain or lose from getting a college education, does it matter what a student gets their degree in, what degrees are the most useful to the country's success, what is the value of the humanities degree, is the prioritization of STEM fields in the U.S. legitimate, and of course you can create your own, but again, this should say August 6th. Email me for approval by Sunday, August 6th. Okay? So the dialogue essay is exactly that. You're creating a dialogue among multiple characters who all have different opinions about the topic that you're choosing. So this is the topic that you would choose here, one of these bullet points, and then you create a conversation around that topic with characters responding to each other, asking and answering questions, and incorporating the research that you have done. Okay? So again, for both options, these are the list of texts and the tips for success. I do want to show the option 2 outline, which is right here. Now this is going to be much more individualized, but I've created kind of a starter outline here. So note here, the brief outline here is simply to help you visualize the structure of this paper. Students are encouraged to use the best structure that works for their specific topic. Outlines will vary depending on number of characters and subpoints covered in the paper. So here, in the intro, you need to have the description of your characters and their positions, background info needed to help your intelligent but naive reader to understand your topic. So the body can look something like this. For example, character 1 brings up the first point with evidence, and then advances the conversation to let the next character respond. Then character 2 responds to the first discussion, the first point in the discussion, and potentially multiple characters, if they all want to weigh in on that first point. And then they advance the conversation, and then potentially a new character will bring up a second point, and so on and so forth. So it's just like a regular conversation. If you think of like a whole class discussion happening, you are now putting this on paper. Okay. And I say here, outline continues in conversation format for the rest of the paper. It is up to the student to determine the most effective structure. Okay. So this is kind of, like I said, just a starter outline just to help you visualize where you should be going if you choose this option. So that is essentially essay 4. We can go back here. So in the August 2nd folder, you'll see the prompt. The prompt video will be here. The library research video, which you should watch in order to help you find the necessary online sources. And then the 2 options for the outline, and then the works cited and the checklist. Now, once you fill in your outline template, by the way, all you have to do is click on it, download it, and fill in your information for the outline. And when you're ready to submit the outline, it is due August 9th, you will see Submit Research Outline here. So you submit it just like you would the regular essay, browse, agree to safe assign, and submit. Okay? And that will be due August 9th. So that is basically the essay 4 prompt. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me.